Good morning, Coley.
Good morning. I always have to do something when we start as it's like counting down
You
that
get
you're not
nervous?
expecting. No, just something. It's like a weird little like tick that has to leave my body. So like a sound that like a normal human doesn't make, a little hum, a jig, if you will.
It's like how you used to always say toodles at the
I
end.
know. I physically have to restrain myself from saying it now when
Okay,
we record.
actually, I have an uh, embarrassing story on my part. You know how like you get into these loops of sort of saying the same words at work
Uh-huh.
meetings?
Uh-huh.
Well, my boss messaged me the other day while I was presenting something, and I just see it out of the corner of my eye. You need to find a new word for perspective.
Mine right now, nuance.
Oh yeah, she's like you said perspective like 20 times in the last 5 minutes. But the other word that I keep saying is kudos.
Why?
What? Where I don't even know when that entered my vocabulary, but like I'll be like, so kudos to the team, and then I feel physically ill with myself that I've said that.
You just like
Like I'm
hate
like,
yourself inside. You're like,
oh my
you
God,
idiot.
you idiot.
I,
Um,
oh
yeah, it's
man.
brutal.
I did media training this week, and in my first mock interview, first of all, I froze halfway through. So that was great. But I also kept bringing up really casual language. And I was like, super question. Like, and inside, it was my
What's a
first one.
super
I don't
question?
know. I was like, it was like, I don't even know what was coming over me, but I was so nervous when because I've never done media training before.
Yeah.
Shocking. Um, and I definitely got more comfortable in the flow of it, but it was, afterwards and the girl was so nice. She was like, so like maybe we find like less casual language to acknowledge the question and like bridge it
Super
over.
duper.
Yeah. I feel like such an idiot. Anyways.
How are you feeling in the wake of your vulnerable episode?
Okay. The like reaction's been really
People really liked
nice.
it.
Yeah, I got a lot of really nice messages. A lot of people listened to it too, and there's some people that I'm like, oh, that's so nice, and then the other like portion, I'm like, oh, you just love drama and are nosy, like little nosy bitches.
Oh, like people are asking me like follow-up questions?
No, like I assume with like how many people listened on some of these that I'm
Oh,
like, oh,
yeah.
they just want the tea.
To be fair, I think it's successful promo on our part of using that note. Like
A
people were
hundred
like,
percent.
what's going on? What's going down?
They're like, this seems so serious. I mean, it was. Let's
It
not downplay it.
was.
But no,
It was good though.
truth be told, I got off the episode and had so much anxiety. Like I didn't sleep that night and I was panicking about releasing it. To the point that I asked like my mom and sister, like, here's the edited. Can you guys just listen and like, am I
Let me
just
know.
being crazy here before we release this? Or like,
What was your worst fear about it? Like you felt like you shared too much or you didn't sound like grateful I'm just wondering like what was the I'm not that it makes sense you would have a
no.
vulnerability hangover, but was there like a specific anxiety that kept coming up?
I think I was so, I'm always very careful in
Yeah.
like, and aware of how I come across. And I think letting that go and being more vulnerable is just something inherently I'm not comfortable with. Good practice, but it I think that rattled me a little bit. And then the reality is in a lot of the things that I went through, I wasn't the only one that went through those. And I worried a little bit of like, is the other people that went through these things with me, or even in deeper ways compared to me in some of the cases, um, are they going to feel like maybe I didn't do it justice? Like, was I too
Mm,
emotional about it? Was I not emotional enough about it? Um, like, it, but I think when I listened back, I felt like I did a good job of, this is going to sound really weird, but like making it about me and my experience
yeah, it
versus
wasn't.
like
Yeah.
what happened itself. And whether that was like different parts of like loss, whether that was the grief and the health stuff or the relationship stuff or the work stuff, like I really tried to keep it on my experience, which I think I did. But I was just like, you're always nervous, right? Like you never know. And I think we're always both so mindful of like people that are close to us that we're maybe speaking about sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that was just the crux of it more than anything. And yeah,
Yeah, it
but
was
it felt
good. I'm
good.
glad. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
glad
it
we
was very
released it.
cathartic.
Good. And we did get a lot of really positive response to it, which is really
It's
nice.
really
Thanks
nice.
everyone. How's your
Yeah.
week? How you doing?
Manic, but I'm off next week and I get to see you.
Yes, we'll be up at the cottage together.
Um, there's a tarot reader. Speaking of which, the tarot readers on my For You page on TikTok are present right now. It's like every other TikTok is a tarot reader. I'm like, can we fucking not? But there's one that like sings songs, and so that just reminded me of her.
I don't
My
get tarot readers on
Well,
my
then you must be way
algorithm.
more mentally stable than I am.
I don't know.
But I'm also
Maybe.
very woo-y in a lot of ways. Like I created a
Yeah.
playlist yesterday called Woo Woo Shit with like songs with like affirmations in them and stuff. I'll
Love
share it with
it.
you later. Because it's like a very, I'm going to go full astrology girl right now. It's a very potent time for manifestation right now. So yesterday, if you see, it was like the Lionsgate portal because it was like 8-8.
Oh yeah.
Today's the full moon in Aquarius. I'm in Aquarius. Um, and
What does
then,
that mean?
so I'm a Taurus rising, but it's in Aquarius, like I'm a Aquarius sun and moon, but it's going through my 10th house of career. So it means some sort of like
Oh,
change or
okay.
something. So whatever your house in your chart that you have in Aquarius. I've also decided I'm just going to not temper the fact that I'm super into all this shit anymore. Like I'm just going to full let it hang out. So here you
Yeah,
go.
like great. Love it.
And then there's a conjunction with Venus and Jupiter, which are the planet of love and the planet of like luck and expansion and abundance. They're joining together on Monday and Tuesday. So very like powerful manifestation days. When this comes out,
Ooh.
all of this will have passed and people will have missed the boat. So, oh well.
Hopefully you guys all
No
have tarot card
manifestation for you.
readers. Hopefully you're all astrology girlies and already know about this.
Yeah. So I would say the only thing I'm doing right now is just like more journaling. Um, but I don't know where I was going with that. Week's been a lot, but I'm so due for time off. I was saying to Meg, I have two updates for today. The first of which I'll start with. I had a date last weekend. And I think I've just realized at this point in my life, there are things that I'm just not okay with.
Yeah.
And so this guy and I were like good, like chat back and forth, whatever. But like when it came to pick what we were doing and where we're going, his first suggestion was a walk with his dog. And I was like, no, this isn't
That's not
COVID
a
anymore. That's not a
that's not a
date.
you thing.
That's not a date. Sorry. Like we're not date. Like if we were dating, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
And also, I don't want to be on like a trail with a man that I've just met. That seems like the start of a true crime
Trust me, I
documentary.
did it and it was not good.
No, you're like, when's the walk ending?
When does it end?
Anyways, so we decided to go for coffee, and he, again, was like, well, where do you want to go? He's like, where are your favorite places? And I was like, fuck. So I gave him a few, and he's like, okay, well, let's do this one. He's like, which location?
Oh
And I'm
my
like, I don't
God.
care. I'm like, well, I know this one doesn't have, a simple Google search will tell you, this one doesn't have seating. I'm like, this one I've never been to, so I don't know. And I'm like, let's just go to the one downtown. And he's like, ugh, downtown, really? So like up until as I'm leaving, this man is complaining about where we're going. And I'm like, you are welcome to choose
You're
somewhere
welcome to
else.
come up with some options, sir.
Yeah, so I was already annoyed by the time I got there. Anyways, got there, met him, and we're kind of chatting and, you know, standing in line to get a coffee. And he's just like arms crossed, staring at this board. And they're like, next. So I go up.
Like this man has never drank coffee in his life before. He's like, an Americano. What is that?
Yeah, and he made a weird comment. He's like, I'm trying to decide if I should eat a cookie and be a fat boy. And I was like, what? Like,
Oh,
just like
that's odd.
weird shit like this. Anyways, so
So
I
you're
go up.
already like, I'm not gonna see this man again.
I was like, it's bleak
It's not
at this
looking
point.
good.
So I went up, I ordered like an iced latte. And this man is just still like back to me looking at this board. I was like, do you want anything? He's like, no, I'm good. I'll go up in a second. And I'm like, okay. So I get my coffee or whatever. And like, I'm sorry. First date, I do think, especially for a
Yeah.
coffee.
Agree. You
Like,
know I'm on the same page as you.
anyways. So we get our coffees, go outside, I'm like, where do you want to sit? And he's like, where do you want to sit? And I'm like, make a decision. I literally said that to him. I was like, make a decision. And he's like, let's go outside. So we go outside and we're talking. And like, the things he was saying were like normal life things about moving, or like everything just felt like too much work. Or he just felt like he was talking about moving and how like he got kicked out early from his apartment or something. And I was like, well, that's like illegal in Ontario, right? And he's like, yeah, but just like a lot of work to fight it. And I'm like,
but he'd also, you mentioned he doesn't even know where he's going to live.
Doesn't know where he's going to live in a few months. Anyways,
so that's also
like,
a lot of work.
Real winner. And then we were talking, and basically this isn't his full-time job, but as part of his job, he like works at a camp all summer. And I was like, this is like an adult camp counselor. Anyway, so
I get a text message from Nicole that just says, I went on a date with an adult camp counselor. And I was driving home from my cottage with two of our friends. And I was like, hey, like almost immediately after I saw the text, I was like, hey, so hope you're doing well, but I'm going to need a bit more context on this one because this is shocking.
Yeah. So that was the date. It was just wild. You know what?
Did you ever hear from him?
No, nor did I reach out. Anyways, and this is also where I'm so happy. I often have guys be like, well, here's my number if it's easier to connect. I refuse until I have met you in person. You're not getting my phone number. Because I want to be very easy to be able to go unmatch.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't have patience for it. Anyways, I think it just made me realize too, like, first of all, if a guy can't plan the first date, I love asking me for my opinion on things. I love asking me how I feel. But a man who can't make a plan, it's a non-starter for me. And like, you know what? At this point, if that is my baseline, so be it.
Yeah.
And just like kind of after the experience that I've had over the summer, I'm just like, no, we're taking a little beat from dating and we're going to come back refreshed, all of that in the fall. Because the audacity of the men these days is shocking.
Also, recently I've been having, so I had to cancel a date I was supposed to go on last night, but I liked this guy. I was taking him to a dive bar because I love dive bars that he'd never been to, called Ronnie's. Anyone from Toronto knows Ronnie's. And I was like, you're in for an experience. It's like the diviest of the divey. Also, just as a heads up, it's cash only. And he was like, oh, don't worry. I'll make sure that we've got enough cash. Like, he like basically was like insinuated, like, don't worry about it. Like, you don't need to pick up cash. Like, I've got it. And I was like, that's really like, it's not even about the like spending of the money. Like, I don't care that much that he's like willing to buy me a drink.
No, it's more just that he's thoughtful and he's got something covered and like you could rely on him.
Then on the other side of the coin, I'm talking to someone who I literally feel like I've laid out on a silver platter. Like I've lined up this conversation. You get so used to this like back and forth on Hinge of like, once you've done enough of the back and forth, you're like, well, I assume we're going to go on a date. Otherwise, why are we talking? Right. And I was like, what's your favorite bar in the city? Which is my go-to to then be like, oh, cool. Like, I like that one too. If they say something I know, or if they don't, I'm like, oh, cool. I'd love to try that. It's on a silver platter, my friend. Ask me to go to the bar.
You're setting it up for them to knock it down.
It's so simple. And he's like, yeah, they have really good beer. And I'm like, come on, friend. Like,
I would unmatch right then and there.
Oh my God.
I think I just need to be way more ruthless with my dating. I think I've tried to be more soft and understanding and giving the men the benefit of the doubt, like I said before we started recording. And like,
no more benefits of doubt.
They always disappoint me. They always deserve the doubt. So anyways, the other update I have is I've bought what I think is my I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod yet. So everyone knows I've been so sick for the last few years. I think I have talked about this on the pod, but I'm now classifying this as my buy of the year. Um, I have not been sick since March, but I've felt myself getting sick a few times, and I am fully crediting Wishbone Kitchen for me connecting the dots on this because she did a post where she was talking about how she's been sick nonstop for the last like 2 years, like every 2 months and all of this stuff, and doctors couldn't figure it out. She was just diagnosed with chronic sinusitis, and so she's going to get a surgery for it. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get a surgery. That feels intense. But I just bought a neti pot and have been doing like every time I feel like sinus pressure or I feel like maybe I could be getting sick, I just do a sinus rinse. I did like 3 this week. I haven't been sick since March. It
Yeah,
is
but
my
did you
buy
just
of the
start doing the
year.
neti pot?
No, I did it like I started doing it in early July. Like I got it actually probably in end of June because I started feeling like maybe I could get sick. Like I started feeling the initial like headachy sinus, postnasal drip, all that kind of stuff. And so I would do that and I would have a good night's sleep and then wake up and be totally fine.
That sounds pretty great.
So it is my buy of the year and I recommend a sinus rinse to
And not an
everyone.
expensive buy of the year.
No, super affordable. Get it at your local pharmacy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much much to update on other than I'm not even going to mention to everyone watching this on YouTube where the pimple is. There's a pimple on my face that has taken over my entire life. Like I think about it every few minutes because it's so painful. You know, one of those like under the skin, nothing's happening, like cystic.
Yes.
So I wasn't even going to go for a walk this morning and I was like, I need more pimple patches. So I have to.
Honestly, sometimes we
So
just
that's
need
on
that one
health.
thing to get us out of the house.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about
That's a good
living alone.
transition.
Yeah.
Get us out of the house.
So, okay, this is a listener request. So, you know who you are. You requested that we talk about living alone, which I actually think is a topic like we've just never really touched on. And it's an interesting
No.
one because Nicole and I sort of come at this from very different perspectives.
Different perspectives.
I've always struggled with being alone, like in general, not dating, but I mean like just spending too much time on my own.
And this is
And
where
Nicole,
I thrive.
you like love it.
I was meant
She
to
loves
live
it.
alone.
Yeah. And I don't think I was meant to live alone, but I'm like I'm learning to love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's set the scene here because I think that our our first time ever, I guess like you could say living alone was university when we moved into residence.
Or leaving home at that point.
Yeah, leaving home. Um and I think the way we both react. So wait, how did you feel when you moved into
I was like
res?
so pumped. I mean, and also you had a room by yourself. I was living with Kelly. So I
Yeah.
still had a roommate technically, but I was like, yes, I'm out. This is so exciting. Like, what a cool adventure. And like, yeah, I was sad to see bye to my parents, but I was also so ready for it. Like, whereas you were sobbing uncontrollably.
Not like, not like sobbing for like an hour or two after they left, like the whole move-in day and the following 6 or 7 days, I was crying.
Yeah.
I was devastated. It was like someone had died. And I I mean I was not ready for it. I would say as I've gotten older, obviously I've gotten more comfortable with change, but it's still something I struggle with. Um but yeah, no. And I think those are really and it was leaving my parents, but it was more like feeling alone, like I was doing something on my own, you
Well, I
know?
think the difference, to be totally fair to you, you moved across the country,
True, true.
right? Like my parents were an hour and a half away and could come up for a Sunday dinner. So it also
Yeah, not
probably didn't feel as permanent
monumental.
or,
Yeah.
yeah, as monumental as it did for you.
Yeah, you're right. That's a very good point. It did feel really scary to be like, wow, they're so far away from me, you
Yeah.
know? Um, but yeah, I mean, the actual first time I like lived alone was in my master's, which I I really loved it actually in my master's. And then the next time was during COVID when I got my first uh, uh, flat on my own in London. And then like 3 weeks later, COVID hit. And so I was just trapped in a prison of my own making, completely alone, unbubbled. It was bad.
Yeah. And here, as someone who lives, like, thrives being alone, had I not been around people and had been in that situation in COVID, I probably would have lost my mind. So, like,
I have like a vivid memory
yeah.
of I got so bored on my own and I had this like big jar of change from different currencies. And I have like a vivid memory of being like, you know what I'll do today? I'll sit down in front of the TV and I will
And
sort
count my
through this
coins.
currency. And I got real into it. It was like a whole day's worth of work. Of like, I was like, where is this currency from? Like, it was like I was an 85-year-old coin collector.
That's
And
so
that was a
off-brand for
real low
you.
point. I know, but I did not know what to do with myself. I was like
Yeah.
completely bereft. I was, and I mean, COVID, that's extenuating circumstances, but I think in general, that's sort of how I felt about living alone without order or ritual or like routine. I definitely have felt like more loneliness and more aloneness. Like loneliness and aloneness I think can be
Yeah.
different. And just like a sense of what am I doing with myself right now, like when I'm alone with my own thoughts for too long.
It's very confronting being alone, um, both in terms of being single and living on your own, because it's almost like it forces you to look directly in the mirror, and
Mm,
it provides you just this space and time to really evaluate things and really review and reflect and, um, self assess in a lot of ways, which can almost be to your own detriment sometimes because you're just
mm,
constantly self analyzing. Um, but I think the pandemic in and of itself was such a unique experience that it's hard to really quantify. So I'm interested more so truthfully, because also when you're in your master's, again, you're young, you're probably actually not spending all that much time at home because
yeah.
you're in the library, you're around, you're bustling. So I really am more interested, I feel like, in your 30s when you moved into this place on your own, how that felt for the first time for you.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted it. It's this really weird. I knew it was time. I really wanted it. I had this like desire to nest so bad. Like I wanted my space to reflect me,
You.
and I wanted to. I was living with two of my closest friends, or our closest friends at the time, and that was great. But I knew it was time to kind of make a step into a new direction. But I think it was just really shocking to realize like what the amount of time that I had on my own, that like I hadn't really been alone for years
Well, because
because
you also had two roommates that you would just come out of your bedroom and were
yeah,
there. They were built in,
exactly.
you know,
So I
connection.
think it was definitely like a learning curve. Would Am I happy now? Yeah. Like I'm really happy now. As long as and we'll talk about some sort of practical tips for how to make it work for people who are very extroverted and who do like to spend a lot of time with people. And I don't always get it right. Like I think there have been, over the last year, or I guess it's almost 2 years now that I've lived on my own, there have been weekends where I'm like, all I want to do is chill. And then it gets to Saturday morning and I'm like, I have no plans this weekend because all I wanted to do was chill. And I feel, especially in the winter, and I feel like I've made mistakes here. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? Like cook a massive like meal? Well, I live alone. So I don't need to be cooking a massive meal. What am I going to do? Like a home, like a DIY project? I hate that shit. So I'm not going to do that. What am I going to do? Watch movies all day? Like it's just, it becomes scary if you don't bake in plans. But I would say in general, while it was very hard, I I've come out the other side, and I definitely feel, at least right now, like I can recognize the beauty of like the freedom that living alone
Yeah.
gives you.
I think that's the thing for me. It's the freedom part.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say I lean more introvert, but I have some extrovert tendencies here or there. But
Yeah.
I do charge up by being on my own and not being around people. And sometimes at the end of the day, I am too overstimulated to even respond to someone's text message. So like
Mm,
I just need like no contact. And I was saying to Meg this morning, like I woke up, I have my period, I feel like crap. And like I just got to like sprawl in my bed, you know, didn't want anyone touching me. I could do what I want. I didn't have to worry about how the space was affecting someone else. And I don't have to. I also have a tendency, I think you do too. I'm very sensitive to other people and their energies. So if I'm around someone and I feel like I have to adjust myself to kind of come up to the temperature of the room because of how they're behaving or how their whatever is, it just really throws me off.
yeah.
Um, so that's
Yeah,
why I
same.
love having the safety and the control of my own space. One thing I've realized over the last few years is that being alone isn't always good for me. And like if I can go days without, especially in the winter, leaving my apartment, I sometimes without even being aware of it until I'm in it, that will cause me to sink back into like a depressive state. So I have to
Yeah.
be very mindful around popping things in my calendar, planning out what I'm going to do for the weekend. So even if I'm home and not having a weekend that's like full of plans with other people, I'm like, well, there's a whole list of shit I know I have to get done in my life. So I don't want to just sit on the couch because that makes me feel worse in a lot of senses. So how do I make sure A, I'm getting the rest that I need, B, getting outside at least once,
Yeah.
but am actually doing something with my time so I feel like I'm moving forward. Because when you're by yourself, sometimes it can almost feel like you're in this suspended state
Yes,
of like
that's
arrested
exactly it.
development. So it's you have to be very conscious and aware of it. So I've been very mindful. Like my whole weekend basically is scheduled out now. A, because I have so much work I have to get done before Monday, but and I want to take time off next week, so I want to make sure I'm done in time for that. But like I've even for half of it tomorrow, I'm like, well, maybe I'm going to go to a coffee shop in the morning tomorrow and
Yeah.
get some of this stuff done. So at least I'm out of the house. It's not stuff I need two screens for. It's just catch up, get some like admin done. I'll go to like a really cute cafe that I've never been to before. Maybe a little bit further than like my normal walking
Mm,
place. And I think it's things like that that become really important to anchor into.
yeah. Yeah, because mine is less like if I spend too much time alone, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a depressive state, but mine's more just like the like spiraling anxiety of it's so easy when you have so much time to think and you are quite a self-reflective person to think yourself into a bit of a hole. Like,
Do it all the time. I could get
yeah,
an
and
Olympic gold medalist.
I'm sure it's very common for a lot of the people listening, but that's the thing I struggle with. And I would often, like, especially when I first, like, the first few months of me living on my own in my 30s. And I think what I've learned is not that you shouldn't spend time alone, because you absolutely should. But there is a limit for me, and everyone's is, I'm sure, different, that is productive.
Mm,
Like, there's just a limit where I'm like, you know what? I'm not chilling anymore. I'm just stewing. Like I'm not journaling. I'm just watching a reality show while thinking about something else that I need to get out of my own head. Essentially, there's like a limit
yeah.
to that. Yeah, I
How
mean,
do
we've
you
already.
feel that,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
we're just so polite.
Oh, so polite.
How do you feel that your relationship with yourself has changed since you moved out on your own?
Good question. I feel a lot more connected to what I want to do. I think, and this is very me coded, but like I'm a people pleaser for sure, but I'm also like very go with the flow.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say that I I wonder if there's anyone listening to this that's like, no, you're not. But I think I'm pretty go with the flow. Like, as in, as long as my favorite people are there, I'm happy to kind of do whatever. Like, if someone
Yeah.
was like, you know what, I actually don't want to go out tonight. I want to like go to the movies, or I want to stay in and eat pizza on the couch. I'd be like, great, let's do that. Um, so I feel like when I was living with my two friends, they were some of the funnest times that I've
Yeah.
ever had. But often it was sort of distracting me from thinking about what I would want to be doing, or like progressing other areas of my life. And not distracting in a negative sense. Like, it's not really something that I thought about that much when I was living with them. But I think living alone, it felt more, like I could tap into, okay, let's like really think about what are some like side projects that you want to take on, or how can you build out the podcast promo more, or should you start writing again? Where do you want to be working out? Like, I think there was a reset that and just inherently happens when you move in on your own, because it's typically like a new area of the city or a new city entirely. And you start to think like, okay, what does this look like for me now? What does my
Yeah.
life look like? So yeah.
I think to some extent too, there's such a joy that comes with living with your best friends in your 30s as
Oh, it
well.
was so special.
That, yeah, I can imagine that there's also a little bit of grief that comes with that when you go to move out on your own.
Yeah, it's, and I don't think they'll mind me saying this, like, one of our good friends, Emily, who I was living with, she just got married. And,
Yeah.
our other friend is in a serious relationship and super happy. And we're all thriving. But like the three of us were such a unit for several years. And so it's like, that was almost 2 years ago that I moved out, but we've still had that place that we all lived. And we're all starting to think about like what next steps look like. And it's like, oh my God, like my leaving was sort of the first step
It's
in
like the
that
band's
next step
breaking up.
planning. But yeah, it feels like the band's breaking up. And obviously we'll all still be super tight, but it's just the end of
Yeah.
an era.
I think that's the big thing, right? And I
Yeah.
think while you mourn the end of whatever era you've come out of, like for me, I was so grateful and it was such a special thing to be able to live with my sister again for like a year and a bit when I first moved home. Living on my own marked the beginning of such a special time for me. And like I think really uh coming to terms with who I am, healing in a lot of ways, and also rediscovering what matters to me and who I am when no one else is around. When I don't have to adjust other people in the room, when I don't have to think about someone else and how my decisions might affect them.
Yeah.
And so I think that for me, while I mourned the era I was coming out of, there was so much heaviness that came with that this just felt like so light and free and joyful in a lot of ways. And I really thrive being on my own. Like I was joking with Meg before we started recording that, like when I get in a relationship, like I have like the only reason I would move in with a man is like financial at this point,
Mm,
right? Because it is expensive to live on your own. But I'm like, there's something to be said for the couples that like buy houses right beside each other,
I know.
honestly. But I
Or
also am
they
a
have their
huge
own
cuddler.
rooms.
Yeah, but I'm a huge cuddler, so like that also I need to like work into the equation because I don't know how to reconcile that with like, do they just come over and then when I'm ready to go to bed, it's like, okay, bye bye.
Bye
I
bye.
need to workshop this a little bit more. But anyways,
I love it. I love the idea of thinking it like, and I do think that there will be more maybe flex around like what living together means as society evolves. I mean, I feel like the first beginnings of this trend were even I don't even remember when I learned about this, but the idea of having two duvets, like each person has their own
my
duvet.
ex and I did that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, I was, when I was living in London, and I was like, that's brilliant. And I'm sure that some places have been doing that for forever. But I was like, oh my God, you could have your own thing, even though
Yeah.
you're living together. And I feel
It's a
like,
very European thing.
yeah. And I feel like that's now people are like, wait a second, do I have to live full time with my partner? Wait a second, do I have to have a shared bedroom? Wait a second, should I be
I
living with my friends? Like,
I
there,
think what it's really brought up is the idea that it's important regardless of your living situation, how important it is to have your own life and your
Yeah.
own space, whether that is
Yeah.
literal space or like figurative space. So like I have a friend of mine, her and her husband are really good. Like they do so much together. They're such a family unit, but they also give each other space to go and do things on their own with their friends
Yeah.
or like go and have their own life too. And I think that is such a healthy thing as I look at, translating and transitioning from living alone to relationships.
Yeah. I also wanted to bring up, like, before we dive into just some things we've learned after a few years of being on our own, I do want to bring up, like, the whole financial challenge of this. I mean, I lived with my two close friends for 3 years and paid nothing basically in rent, which is why living alone after 3 years of that was sort of like doable. Um, and I wonder what our advice would be to people who are like, is it worth the financial, you know, like, to what, when is it worth it to be like, you know what, I need to live alone, versus being like, you know what, maybe I'll have one roommate and sort of shoulder the rent across both of us.
I think there's the financial cost to weigh, and I think there's then the emotional cost
Yeah.
that you have to weigh too. And both you and I live in like fairly nice areas in like pretty modern buildings. Living alone doesn't have to be that. There are ways that you
Yeah.
can live on your own in a place that still feels safe, but maybe, is a bit more affordable or a little bit further out. Like there's ways to go about living on your own. And I think you have to make that decision within yourself as to what you're willing to pay financially and even with your own health.
Yeah.
Um,
And my advice, and maybe a little bit of a hot take, but I don't think you need to live alone as you in your 30s. Like, I think that if you're not sitting around being like, I really want this, don't do it.
you don't have to. No,
Like, it's so expensive to live on your own.
if
So I
you're
wouldn't recommend it.
if you've
If
got a
you're
good friend even if you don't have a good friend, if you have a good roommate, because sometimes I actually don't think friends are the best people to live with.
true.
Um, but if you have a situation where you could live happily, safely with another person and still feel like you can live your life and go after, your goals and so forth, do it. There's no medal you get from living on your own.
Yeah.
It just made sense for both you and I at the time.
Yeah.
And again, I also thrive being alone. So it just really works for my MO and like my brand.
My
But
personal brand.
I also recognize that it is such a privilege to be able to do this. And like I lived at home not paying rent for a while. So,
Yeah.
and even still, it's still challenging. Like I have a good paying job. Being the
It's
sole provider,
hard.
it's hard. But one thing that kind of caught me when we were talking about this yesterday, I think I'm the only person. Oh, that's not true, actually, because both my parents lived technically on their own when they divorced, but they still had us like every other
Mm,
week. So like we were still coming in and out of their space, and until we probably like left for university or things like that. Um, but at this point in my life, and like prior to having a family, like my parents never did that. Like before
it's
they
so
had
true.
kids, my sister, she's always had roommates and she still had a ton of independence and stuff like that. But um, it's a very unique experience. It still isn't all that common. And when I think about it, it's something that does actually give me a lot of pride, the fact that I've been able to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And here's how we make it happen. Or here's how I make it work. Like,
Let's hone in.
my big thing is proactive loneliness
Calendar.
management or calendar management.
Oh, I love no proactive loneliness management.
Yeah, I'm just like, how can I proactively make sure that I've put measures in place, kind of like the way you would with, if you've experienced like an anxiety attack or something. Not that that's how my loneliness feels, but you kind of have a list in your phone of like, here are some of the things that'll bring me back down to earth. I think for me, when it comes to making sure that I'm feeling my best and not dipping into this like, oh my God, I'm so alone and isolated. Um, I think it's about like it's mainly about weekend management for me
Mm,
because I've found there definitely is such a thing as having too many after work plans. So I try to do it when I'm not up at my cottage a lot, which is most of the summer. I'll try and do like a couple workout classes after work a week. Um, and then I'll have like a book club maybe one week, or I'll go for drinks or dinner or whatever, one of the, but randomly. Like I feel like I don't make tons of plans because I'm in the office a lot during the week. So at least I'm getting some human interaction. I would say if you're someone who works from home, it might be more important for you to like bake in that time with people during the week. But for me, my weekend plans, even if I don't have a lot of social plans for the weekend, I will like have fun on a Friday night, like with the takeout, being like, okay, what is my plan tomorrow? So it's like, okay, let's visualize like from I'm gonna wake up early, I'm gonna go for a walk to the farmer's market. Okay, maybe I get home around 11. I'm gonna do a face mask, like princess shower. I'm going to, there's something very luxurious to me about watching TV in the middle of the day. I'm gonna watch a movie in the middle of the day. I'm gonna take a little nap,
mhm.
and then I'm going to get myself outside. Like you know, it doesn't have to be this plan, but basically planning out your day, even if, you know, sometimes we just end up in situations where like people are out of town or you don't have any
Yep.
friends that can hang out. So making sure that you are proactively thinking about it. And then I guess the inverse is obviously making sure that like with those people you do want to fill your time with, that you are proactively making plans to see them on the weekends when you have spare time.
That I think that's brilliant. You know how much joy I get out of either writing down a little notepad of like my schedule for the weekend or sitting in front of my computer and like color coding my Google Calendar of like all the things I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Like that is so good. Also, for anyone watching, I'm so sorry I'm like fidgeting a lot. I have like the worst cramps and my hips are just like locking up and like killing me right
Oh,
now. So I'm moving around quite a bit. Apologies for the distraction. Um, there are some really good girls on TikTok who their content is if you have no plans this weekend, here's your itinerary.
yeah, there are.
And we should probably do a roundup of some of them in our show notes because they if you are feeling icky about living on your own and not having plans, will help you romanticize not having plans and
Yeah.
making you your plan. Because I think that is the thing that all of us have to do. Like, if you don't have plans, you live alone, like you said, it can feel really like, oh God, SOS. Send up the,
Oh,
like, the flare.
yeah.
Um, but if you do it properly, it can be some of the most rejuvenating time for you.
Yeah.
So look up like itinerary on TikTok. We'll find a few of our favorites and pop them in the show notes. Um, the other thing that I think is so important, it's the same as pouring into yourself. I think that when we invest in ourselves the same way we would want a partner to invest in us, so speaking to ourselves in really positive ways, treating ourselves in the way that maybe we would want to be treated by another person, or just really giving ourselves the love, whether that's going to a gym, going for a walk, doing a face mask, like whatever we need in that moment. I think there's also something to be said for doing that for your apartment. So doing a deep clean
Totally.
and like honoring your space can be something that makes you feel so good and really kind of build the connection back to like this is your like oasis, this is
Mm,
your space, and that can feel so good.
yeah.
Sorry, my
I
brain.
also I also think so there's the like keeping it clean and taking care of everything, and as you said, like building your oasis. I think it's I've got Pinterest boards for each of the rooms in my apartment that I like go to dream about kind of what they could look like. I think having that type of energy towards a space, like it's such a privilege when you live alone. I mean, you don't own a place, sometimes you can't do
It's a
all
challenge,
of the
yeah.
things that you would want to do, but there's still a lot you can do with like putting up art or even finding art that you like, using every inch of the space in a way that makes sense, like rejuvenating it over time. Like maybe seasonally you're thinking like, oh, does that lounge chair actually fit here, or should I switch things around? There's a lot of creative joy I get out of thinking about my apartment in that way. Yeah.
Were you one of the girls in like high school in your childhood bedroom
Yes.
that like
I already
one
know what you're
night
about to
would
say.
just get like the urge and would like redecorate your room or move around your furniture and you'd feel
Yeah.
like a whole new
And then I'd
woman?
be like, Mom, come see it. It looks amazing. And she's like,
And she'd be
why
like,
the
you
fuck
moved
did you
your
do
desk.
this?
Great.
Yeah. No, I
But it's
totally did that.
it's the same thing. Like I moved my desk from my hallway into here and I was like, oh my God, this feels like it was
You're
meant to
like,
be.
wow. And unfortunately, when you live alone, you don't have a mom to call in. But just if you could FaceTime someone and be like, look how cool what I did is.
Or even like I'm right now looking at getting new bedding. I'm like, I feel like that's something that would make me feel so good right now is like
Yeah.
new, fresh sheets and a duvet and all of that stuff. Or even something as simple as like getting a butter bell, just like a
Yeah. Oh
little
my God, I love my
trinket or
butter
a
bell.
little like a new plant. Picking yourself up flowers from like the grocery store to
Hmm.
bring in to your space is such a beautiful way to honor living on your own.
Yeah. And the one other point I want to make about this of like really investing and just thinking about your space, being intentional about it, really owning it is in moments where I felt like I don't have a lot to do. Like if it's like a Friday night and I'm exhausted, but I'm kind of like, oh, I can't believe I'm just sitting on my couch again, watching TV, I'm on my own, whatever, you're in your head. This becomes a project that you
Yeah.
can lean into. So you feel like whether it's you're on Pinterest, dreaming, or it's actually like, you know what, I'm going to spend the next hour um looking up paint samples and that I can go pick up in the morning, or I'm going to spend the next hour measuring my balcony to see like what I'd be able to fit out there. Like it just becomes this other thing that you can pour your energy into.
Do you know what really gets my rocks off?
What?
Change of season, flipping over my closet. Because for like a half
I don't do
day,
that.
you're missing out. For like a half day, my apartment just looks like a bomb went off in it, but then you're like putting it away and like I go through each of my pieces and like put them where they're meant to go and
That
all
does
of that
sound
stuff.
nice.
It's lovely.
Everything's just there all the time for me.
Okay, well, tell me I overconsume without telling me I overconsume.
I Another thing I wanted to say about those moments where you're feeling a little down in the dumps, or you're like, oh my God, I'm watching TV again, or I'm on my own. Rogue FaceTime someone, like you would be surprised. I mean, first of all, if you are in your 30s or you're in your later 20s and you have friends with kids, they're likely would love a rogue FaceTime from you. Like they're probably, you know, obviously if they're about to put the kids down, like maybe it's not the ideal time, but they'll be like, I'll call you back in 20 once the kids are asleep. And then that's an opportunity for you to have like a bit of a social life, even when you're still sitting in your apartment, Like I think we have this sense especially when we're single, especially when we're living alone, that maybe we're going to bother someone by reaching out to them, or everyone else has
Or
things
a
going on.
burden.
Yeah, and that's not true.
No.
Like I've really had to try and kick myself of like, oh, you're feeling lonely? Well, put some effort in to not feeling lonely. Don't
Yeah,
just sit
like
here and wallow.
yeah. I think the thing that's so special too when you're on your own and you think about people that are literally just surrounded by people constantly, so are friends with kids or partners or whatever, but you have space that you probably won't have for the rest of your life to go after your dreams. So
Mhm.
if that is writing again, doing a podcast and promoting it, or maybe you're posting on TikTok and you're one of the girls that is embracing the Alexander Hamilton trend right now on TikTok, which is my favorite thing on the internet right now. I don't understand how this many people have like colonial style wigs in their home just there. But like you have free will and adult money and no one around to judge you. Do
Yeah.
with that what you will.
Do with that what you will. Honestly, I think like so many thumbs ups to what you just said. Oh my God. Why did I say it like that? You know what I mean? I love what you just said. Um,
You just
I
had an
think,
ugh, you idiot moment,
oh, it
didn't
was like
you?
a kudos moment. Um, we've come full circle in this episode. But yeah, I think this also is such a, you could look at this in so many different ways, and this is so much about mindset. I think when you have the privilege of living alone, and what I always try to remind myself is like, think about the girl who was 20 who would have killed for this at
Yeah.
36, this level of freedom financially, this level of freedom like creatively, with your time. Like it is a pretty special experience. And so of course you're not always going to feel that level of gratitude, but it's a nice shift in perspective when you do start to get in your head.
Completely. And I think it's very easy when you live alone to do the comparison game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think you really just have to constantly remind yourself that like you are on your own path. Everything is on your time and will happen when it's meant to. So if you're in this moment or season where you get to live by yourself and you are alone, what a blessing.
Mm.
Stay
And
tuned.
that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait.
Okay, we hope you enjoyed it. We hope, to the listener out there, you know who you are, that requested this episode. We hope we did it justice. If anyone wants to hear us talk about anything else, if you're in your 20s and you're wondering what two somewhat wise women in their 30s think about anything, please hit us
Let us
up.
know.
We'll talk to you
We love
soon.
you guys. Bye
Bye.
bye.